Settle into a child's pose. Walk your arms out straight overhead. Widen your knees and sit your hips back to your heels. Your big toes can touch. Allow your forehead to rest on the floor. Take some inhales and exhales and allow your belly to rest gently between your legs. Start working through some cat-cow here in child's pose. It'll feel a little bit restricted for sure. But arch and round as best you can, incorporating flexion and extension all the way up through your neck and as much as you can in your tailbone. Use this flexion to bring you up and forward through tabletop and drop into a modified upward facing dog. Keep your knees on the floor and you can keep your toes on the ground. As you move forward, you'll be through flexion, rounding like cat, and as you drop into your upward facing dog, extend and look up towards the ceiling. Just make this movement smooth. Don't worry too much about what's going on through your spine. Tuck your toes and start rocking forward and back. Here, keep a neutral spine just to reset a little bit. We'll be doing a lot of spinal flexion in our 5-minute flow today. So incorporate some lateral flexion as you rock forward and back. Bring your hips back towards your heels, and then as you shift forward, fishtail your hips and your ribs and look over the opposite shoulder. Stay static now in tabletop position and move through any undulations you want. Articulate your spine through flexion, extension, lateral flexion and extension, and just sort of move around in a way that feels good for a few seconds. Try not to get stuck in the same patterns. Use your head to look in different directions. And then when you've come to a great place that you feel good, step your left foot forward and start rocking through some planted lunges. Shift your hips back and forward. And then switch to the other side with your right foot forward, taking about the same amount. Sit back through a flexed foot kneeling position and take a few shoulder rolls that incorporate some of that spinal movement as well. So pull your shoulder blades down, up, forward, and back, moving through some circles. Switch directions as you want. Take some forward and backward. And then reach up overhead and have some lateral flexion with your left arm up over to the right. Switch to the other side. You can use your fingertips to stabilize you on the ground. And then after holding a few counts, you can just switch right and left, right and left. We'll continue through this pattern, but take a rock up and onto a tall kneeling position as you reach over and to the side. Your fingertips may not touch the ground. Sit back to your heels between each reach. Step your left foot forward and reach over to the right, just like you did before, but in a slightly different position. Switch over to the other side, reach right and left a few times. And then bring your left knee back and step your right foot out. Reach over to the left and then to the right. Again, using your fingertips for support as needed. Get as big a reach as possible. Extend from your shoulder through your elbow, your wrist, your fingertips. Rock back and into a deep knee bend. Plant your left hand and reach over to the right. Walk your hands to the center, flex, tuck, and round. And then continue walking your hands over to the right. Reach your left hand up and across. Come back through that forward position in that big tucked flexion and set your knees down on the ground. Walk yourself back into a child's pose to finish your 5-minute flow today. Take some restorative breaths and just settle into that feeling.